Eastern Caribbean. Bonjour tout le monde, bonjour à toute la Dominique et aux Antilles. C'est un grand plaisir encore de réaliser. Bienvenue, messieurs, mesdames, sur Creole Heartbeat Magazine, a special program where we delve into the cracks and crevices of our Creole culture. And this morning we have a heavyweight team with us this morning. We go way back into the Calypso art form. Most of you may not know or may not be familiar with some of the songs, but they will give you a whole history about Calypso art form. As a matter of fact, today promises to be a history lesson. And all of you who are tuned in to the big station at this point in time will be guaranteed a special Calypso history lesson this morning. Good morning to Rocco. Good morning to the Spencer. And good morning to the Robin. Bonjour, fellas.
Bonjour to you and our listeners out there.
How are you guys doing? How has COVID been treating you?
Well, it's making out.
Robin, how are you? I know you are wrong and still have been doing your thing. I see you off and on, walking up and down. Everything okay, Robin?
Keeping fit.
Okay, keeping fit. Okay, we will start with, I guess, the senior man, Rocco. How are you, Rocco?
Oh, well, not bad at all.
Okay, let's the hour runs quickly, so let's give our listeners an idea of Rocco, the Calypsonian. I got a whisper that you started way back at the St. Mary's Academy, so you could bring us up to that into the competition.
That's correct. I think, and again, in looking at this thing, we're looking at like, say, a 50-year period since that time. But it was 1966 that myself and 3 other guys, well, we had about 5 come trying to get into the finals. But 2 of us got through. The 4 who were trying were myself, a gentleman, Nazari James from Lubia, our good friend Sylvester Soons, the caterer. And then a man who is still in music, Gordon Henderson, who then was the Mighty B.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the song he sang in 1966 is quite interesting in the context of today, because what he was singing then was looking at the additions by the ladies, you see.
Looking at the additions by the ladies.
The natural stuff which they got, like the nails and so on.
And the
but
extra eyelashes.
Right, today is a big thing, but in those days, it was not something which had been promoted. See, 1966. So we came out there, and in those days, Calypso had really growing. And the whole question of compositions, writing compositions was a big thing. Because I remember even from the Chateau, we had Miss Watley there, the head teacher, who was a person who insisted in having those letter writings and little stories, story writing and all that. And she was the person who gave promotion on the strength of her performance. You wrote something, because I remember when I wrote a letter to a friend. The afternoon, the teacher was not there at the time, so she took over the class and she gave her an assignment, write a letter to a friend. So I wrote that letter. The next morning after the usual prayers, I heard my name announced. Now I was afraid because I was saying, but look, I don't remember getting in trouble the day before. So what is she calling me about? So when I went up, she told me, Francis, you know something, that letter you wrote, you are promoted.
That's good.
So
that's at the Newtown Chateau.
No, that is the old Chateau where
Chateau.
the Wesley High School used to be. Just opposite where Jollies have their factory.
So, but for how long you would have, been part of the competition itself?
Well, I started in 66 and I left in 72.
So
and whilst I was in this thing, what I was trying to do, for instance, I think in 1968, I sang the Vietnam Crisis. And that calypso what it did is because people were coming to sing with jacket and tie.
Tie.
But I came dressed in full military fatigue. And I had some planning in that calypso. I actually bought some bandits and other things of the Christmas before and had that stored at home. And I had planned to use that as part of the fireworks on the stage. In 67, for instance, now it was in 1967, we were moving from colonial government to self-rule. And I wrote a calypso at the time, which I took part in a competition with. The calypso was "Independence is what we want." Now in 1967. So today you hear a lot about politicians being visionary.
Yeah.
But when you imagine that independence came 11 years after that calypso, well, luckily Mr. John is still around.
Yeah.
Patrick John, the man who led us into independence. But it was when I did this one in 1972, I did the last one, and I was getting a little annoyed because I had a little problem with the judging. Because, and even today, the judging is still a problem.
Okay, we will deal with the judges because that's a particular section that we'll deal with later on. Judges, then we would like to know what the criteria was then, if it is still the same way. But Spencer, what's up, my brother? You would have sang against Rocco?
Yes, Rocco sang. I came the year after
Oh, the
Rocco.
year. You're a St. Mary's Academy guy also?
I am ex-past student of the St. Mary's Academy and the grammar school
And the grammar school as well.
at the time. And as you were saying, Gordon Henderson, still a good friend of mine.
Yes.
We were in the same class.
Oh, the same
We started
class,
school
oh.
together. We both come from Portsmouth. And we started together. So we have, a long history. But my whole thing about Calypso, right, if I have to tell you, I started from small.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the early 50s.
Wow.
Maybe middle 50s or thereabout. Because, and I must confess that I come from a musical family. Because, you must have heard of the Mighty Arrow
Yes,
of
from
Montserrat.
Montserrat, yes.
It's my first cousin. And his two other brothers who are also Calypso kings up there. Hero. Let's say, tiny,
Yes,
whiny.
Hero, yes.
Hero is his brother.
This is
my
brother,
cousin.
yeah.
To the extent I was judging when they had the original OECS thing, and Hero came to sing and the thing.
Yeah.
And I told the Calypso station, look, this is my cousin.
You can't
I
judge.
cannot judge. I stopped. They tell me no. I told them so. I'm that kind of person. I tell them I cannot judge because the man is my cousin and I'm a thing. And they tell me no. We know your thing. And they tell me to stop. And those is NC and those guys were there. So I judge him. I judge him the hardest.
Yes, so that no one would.
Yeah. That is the kind of thing. But anyway, I started from a little boy because my father had a radio, a box kind of radio was operated by car batteries, the big 12-volt batteries. And in those days there was no electricity and radio. So, but that radio he had was like a jukebox, makes a lot of noise, something like that. And the crowd used to come because we were one of the few people who had radios. And the crowd used to come and sit around step and so on and sit down to listen. And in those days, it's Trinidad Guardian or Radio Trinidad we were listening to, and the Calypso. So that's where the Calypso came into me. And from a little boy, maybe 5, and so listening to Sparrow, Melody, and all those guys. And but later as I grew up, I started understanding the picong business, the masking of Calypso, the humor, the Beth. You understand? I brought up Beth. That's why I had a lot of Beth in my Calypso. Because, I learned those things. Anyway, past that stage, I came to Roseau, started going to high school, and there we settled down. But I never intended being a Calypsonian. I love Calypso. I always listen to all the Calypsos. But what made me get into Calypso is what you must have heard of what's his name? He used to call himself the Exposer. Later down, later down he called himself the Courageous.
Joey
Oh,
McGraw.
Joey McGraw.
He called himself the Courageous.
Yeah, Joey McGraw.
So I used to have
the
a
late.
friend, we had a friend close to Astafans, you know, and we were starting a girl.
Extempo King. He called himself
Girlfriend,
the Extempo King.
she was
Right,
reporter. So we used to chat, always standing by the road chatting. So every time that guy passed in, and it's extempo, man, and I started getting fed up of him, man. So I come up with a calypso with him. And the supermarket, and then I was standing up by the super, me and my friend Teresa. And then there come, there I met Lord Observer, troubling me, girl Teresa. I beg the man not to go no further. That's something like that, And then they got that calypso.
That was what year?
In
67?
66, or about 66. And I said, I wrote the card on him and run, exposer, run before I knock you down, run, So, so I made that calypso because every time, because he always passes there, when he passed there, I just came back with that one on him. So I was in the YCW movement, the Young Christian Workers Movement. It was by the St. Martin School there. So Young Christian Workers group of people had a youth group, and I was part of that thing there. Alvin Knight and so on brought me in there. We're good friends and brought me in there. So we come there and they decided they're going to have a talent show among members, a weekend, a Saturday night. So I said, they want us to do something. So I said, I'm going to sing Exposer, the same song about Exposer. So I sang the Exposer, and because the chorus was simple.
Catchy, yeah.
Run, Exposer, run before I pull me gold. Run, Exposer, run. So I sang the song and the crowd started singing it. So after the thing, caterer, I didn't even know that. Caterer was standing by the window and he watching there. So caterer prepared me, man, why don't you join the tent, no, man, the SMA Calypso tent, man. We have the thing we have in the show.
So during those days, SMA had the Calypso tent.
Yeah, SMA Calypso tent. He came from the SMA Calypso tent, yeah. That's where Gordon and those guys were there. And so he tell me, I say, but you're crazy, I'm not a Calypso, I'm just fooling around with the guys. He tell me, man, you're good, man, and he persuaded me. So I went, I joined the thing. So they used to have the show every month or thereabout, the tent. Ray Schiff, there was a guy, a white guy, sitting at SMA.
Canadian.
He was the Canadian. He used to be MC. So they tell me to come. So I say, okay, I'm going to sing. So I went to the show. It's a matinee show, and all the secondary school. This pack up St. George's Hall. So I was there. So he come tell me, look, you next. You come in. You're 2 or 3 people come in after. You'll be. So I say. So he what's your name? I don't know what name to call myself. So I had thinking, I don't know, I have not a name, a Calypso name, but I come in the same. So when I had my turn to tell me, well, you're next, what's your name? I said, man, just call me Lord Grasshopper. So when I went on stage, and they say that Lord Grasshopper, he announced Lord Grasshopper, when I fly on stage, but the crowd start bawling. And then when I start singing, by the whole crowd, run, Exposer, run, and it's thinking, and when I finish singing, they ask, I say, encore,
Yes.
encore,
Oh, yes.
So I came back again and sing that, and everybody, you understand? So that I got the applause there. Everybody, next day, the people telling me about the thing. So that was it. The next show, we had a couple every month or whatever. We used to have the show. Convent High School, Wesley High School, Grammar School, SMA. Guys coming there, young people, and so on. So for the next show, I wrote another song, another catchy song again, because I'd like the kind of Beffy thing and the kind of catchy thing, because I learned that from Sparrow, these guys. So, and I always had a song where people could refrain. So later down, the guy said, boy, those who want to enter the big competition, we can sponsor them. I think it was about $2 to join the big
$2 to
national,
join the big competition. Wow.
to register.
To register. Wow.
I said, boy, big competition, but I said, big. Tell me, boy, yeah, one thing. So I thought of it. I said, okay. So the registers, so those days, a number of us from the SMA Calypso enter. Well, Gordon, and caterers, and were there the year before, 66, but 67. So when I came on the scene, so I entered the competition. It was Everlasting.
Mighty Everlasting.
Everlasting. Jasper is the guy from Loubier.
Right.
Yeah, he's James. He's a pastor now, I think, Trinidad. And some of us from from school, we gone in there. I scared. when we went to practice, boy, Saint and those guys come, you too, you're going to see blows by trembling, you know. Blows and all this like.
Saint was then a monarch already.
Yeah, Saint was a big guy in the thing before. Saint, Spark, and those guys. So when we went in them, and Kitara, Raku, and things like that, I sang a song, Come Let's Play Mass. Right? And I wrote a song, Come Let's Play Mass, and I sang about cricket. West Indies versus England. It was 66. Well, I sang about the 66 match, you know? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, Sobers, if it's googly. 4, 5, 6, Griffith and Hall breaking the wickets. 7, 8, 9, Hunt is 129. Without a single word, West Indies is the greatest thing on this world. So when I came on stage tonight, I sang that song first. For the semi-finals. I went in there and I dressed up in cricket, all in white. With my bat and my ball, I came on stage and glove. And for every bus, you know, when they called me out on stage, I come out. When the band was playing the cricket, I come out and I bowled in. And it was Weebs Dominica in those days, and Jeff Charles was there, and Francis Andre.
Commentating.
And David Shillingford, they were commentating. And when I came out with Jeff Charles commentated, and people at their homes were listening to that, you know, my God, he jumps on stage all in white, and I think that's a bully. I make action. And, you know, he commentated like cricket, and that was a big thing. And then when I sang the second song, Come Let's Play Mass, I saw all the Stillman men sitting in front there, you know, at Carib. And I see them shaking. Was that
Carib Cinema?
Carib Cinema. And the guy shaking, talking to me. That
and then this is for listeners who may not know, that's the Prevost City Mall presently.
That was the Arawak.
Arawak is Prevost City Mall?
No.
Carib
was the cinema. Arawak was the House of Culture.
Yes, House of Culture.
So that when I see, you know, those Stillman men start talking about the Come Let's Play Mass, I see them shaking their heads. So I see, road march should be, you know. Because I was aiming for I used to ride for the road a lot. That was my back, you know, the road. So we had those semi-finals. I came second in the finals, right? Breaker came first. He sang the year before as well. But he came first, I came second in the semi-finals. Caterer came third. And in the finals now, somehow the mic had some problem whistling. Patrick John was the MC, so you got that. And then, anyway, I came third in the semi-final. That's my first thing. And I won the road match.
Sing a little bit.
Come, let's play mass. Don't let it pass. I'm your pardon. Don't let a man put a hand. Jump in the band and shake your body in time. And in those days, it wasn't hi-fi on the road. It was steel band.
Steel band, yeah.
And then bands from Antigua coming down here for carnival playing on the road. And everybody, all still Antigua band playing it. And that was the thing on the road. In fact, the morning, God knows, a good friend of mine, he come and tell me we're going in the morning. He said, road match. He come and check. In the morning, come and get me. He and Chris Francis guy from Portsmouth. We were good friends, you know, and we were on the thing. In fact, we did a recording, Francis Andre. I wanted to do it in the afternoon before. We box guitar. Gordon Anderson was playing for me, and Chris, you know, both of them playing guitar, and I go in the studio by the library. It was Weebs. Yeah. And we just, you know, I was going to school, and we just, you know, we play the thing and they play for. And by the afternoon, I go in, boy, I hear that thing blasting on the radio. Boy, the thing's so good, you know, and people start talking, you know.
Yes. All of that Castle is a historian by himself. Why? Robin, how you inaugurated into the Calypso at Foreman, and in so many hits on the Robin. Robin was also a road match monarch.
Incidentally, I'm glad you speak before me because I used to jump the walls to come to watch him.
To come to watch him. Wasn't every progressing. So from Morocco to you, so you actually jump the walls, stowaway, just to see.
And it was nice for the stowaway to watch these guys sit down. But anyhow, that group, Gaylords, I was fascinated about Gaylords. So I used to go and watch them practice at
King Fields Lane.
No, by the Bayside.
By the Bayside?
Aquatic Club?
Aquatic?
No, the Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, okay.
Why was the Aquatic Club before?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I there listening, I watching, and I was fascinated with Breaker, So I went to the Joseph, I tell you, if I was in Calypso, and you know they said, you want to sing Calypso? So he kind of brushed me aside. And then I keep on watching, and then Breaker said, Breaker feel sorry for me, said, give him a break. So I started. I sang.
With Gaylord's back in you.
Yeah. Well, they get the chords, everything, you know, and I sing in, they get in the chords, and so. All I heard Breaker say that he's alright, you know, about his voice, his breath, he had to control his breath, and so. So when they had little shows, I used to sing with them. So I sang 4 years, not competing, with Gaylords. My first hit was GP Okako. At the St. Rose.
GP for Kaku.
GP Okako.
Kaku, yeah.
That's what at the St. Rose Hall.
That was in the competition itself.
No, it wasn't. I never.
You never sang that in the
I sang
competition?
no. I never competed with that. As a matter of fact, that was a potato road match, and he said I couldn't get it, or I wasn't qualified for it because I didn't register the association.
You must have verse in that one, Robin, because this was a big one, you know.
Everybody in Roseau know. EGP Okako, have you
So, yes.
And he's like the bass line. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes. So at what stage you entered the competition itself?
Now, after when Gaylords had to go in Expo 72, remember that? Because boy, take part in the competition. I said, boy, I wasn't so keen.
I was great. I had to go, but I was out in the country. I started doing surveying, and I couldn't go. But I was.
As the Expo 1972.
I'll tell you about
Expo
Gaylords
72, yeah.
myself.
Yes,
when
no
we
problem.
finish.
So I had no choice than to register with the association, take part in the competition.
Who was he organizing the Calypso competition then?
It was
In
the-
1972?
This is Carnival
JC.
organizing.
Now the
So you would sing for the JCs and then they would...
They are the ones that
No,
got
they-
register them. They
you-
organize everything.
Okay.
You come out at the cinema and they ask you to sing. Or first thing you have to bring your lyrics. They go for your lyrics.
Go closer to the mic, Robin.
They will
Because
go-
because how you guys now would go through things like eliminations and...
Well, all that is part of elimination.
Elimination.
You bring your lyrics, they veto it, and then that fella Handel Christian was it? He go at his home and sing your song. So when you satisfy, you know your lyrics making sense, they send it by him, and then you accept it. That was the way they were doing their
That was like the audition or eliminations?
Audition, and then they put you in elimination.
Eliminations.
Yeah.
So then at what year, in 1972, you were talking
I
about
started. I started.
it was a buy local competition?
No, Calypso itself.
Calypso itself.
I sang from 72 in the competitions to 81.
81.
Yeah.
And how far you went? Finals a few times? I know you got
all the time I made finals. I made finals right through.
right through.
Yeah.
The 10 year.
And I was
you,
run
Raku?
up. I was run up. The ninth. I went for 9 years. I was run up. I mean the top 4 for the 7th year.
When you sang my good friend Susie, just come and get me. That was road match.
It hit the road. But
It did the road. It was road match. But you placed that year.
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Raku?
No, well, unfortunately, I didn't place, but
You make it to the finals several times.
oh yeah, I mean, I was a regular
Finally.
person in the finals there because unlike Robin and Castle, my focus really was on educational stuff. Because like the song I left with in 1972, Local Superstition, what I wanted to do was to move away from the repeat verse, and then I tried to organize the calypso in a way that I kept changing it so the crowd was always listening. Like for instance, the local superstition, generation and generation will indulge in superstition. Generation and generation will involve in superstition. Since in the old time culture, this thing was brought here from Africa, and today we form a perfect structure. Superstition forms part of our culture. They say when rain falling and sun shining, John be married. And if you take out a tooth, put it under your pillow. Rat go take it on the morrow. And if you see a shooting star, you love a woman, make a knot with your handkerchief. Call the name of the girl, and fella, she must love you forever.
But talking about
They associate superstition with riches and possession. Some believe in acquiring all, and nothing must go to others at all. Using all kind of incense in black magic. By this they earn themselves a fortune quick. Invoking the dead in the cemetery, just to get fortune, torment, and misery. They say when old women go to church on a Sunday, they take the lost tea to make obeah. And then you knew. And
For a long time.
No, but I am really excited about this particular program because we're going back to the real roots of where it really began in
but you
Dominica.
see, this was the beauty of the calypso, to look at what was happening in the society and to try to capture it and bring it out.
Which is the same thing happening in
Yeah,
a different
because-
way now.
I remember I went to
Yeah.
I went to Montserrat with the Defense Force in 1969, and when I came back, I sang a song. And well, I wasn't too happy about it because there were mixed feelings about it, you see. But it had to be going to Montserrat there. In those days, Montserrat was a very small place, 32 square miles. But coming back, we went to train, and I think it was the first of two overseas tour by the Defense Force. In those days, we went there, and then we went to St. Lucia in 71. But there I had done this calypso. But in terms of regional unity, I decided I wasn't going to go over it again, you see. But the other song, I think, was of note. We had a problem in the gardens with a man, Frankenstein.
Yes, I heard of that Frankenstein.
That one was
And
It was someone. In fact, he used to be a little boy, but it was someone that used to scare people or something
a
like
big
that.
man.
right, he
Yeah.
was a big guy.
But
And
for people to go to the
the thing at the time, he was almost the scapegoat because you had other people involved in it.
And anything that would have happened, it would be put on Frankenstein.
Yeah, but there's the third verse of that one. Some guys form a plan to beat up this man, so one of them disguised as a woman. And so they pretend something was going on. Up came tall Frankenstein, crawling on the ground. With the rest of the guys hiding in the dark, just waiting for him to launch the attack. Oh, what saved the aviol? One of the guys laughed, called Frankenstein, scale a wall and take off. Frankenstein, Frankenstein.
Yes, I remember that melody.
Leave station alone. Whoa, whoa, you have a girl at your home. Leave us with our own.
Someone or the other, either with the Calypso Association, some entity out there, we need the songs recorded. We know because one of the challenges during those days were recording, not like now. And most of these archives may not be found, and even the quality then. But I think just for the history of the Calypso art form, I think we need to record, I think we should do a particular
No,
project.
well, I have written extensively on this business of Calypso.
I know, and then we will get back to that in a while.
I have this article about making a music an industry.
Yes. And I also remember we have spoken quite a bit in terms of even the Georgian criteria. We'll get back to that in a while. But the castle,
yes,
the Spencer, we know you had some big hits.
yeah, a lot of love.
And how far you went in
Well,
terms of
I
Calypso.
didn't compete very much,
You didn't come very much.
Like in 67, I got to Road March King and run out.
With what song?
It was Come Let's Play Mass and the Cricket.
And the cricket, right?
67, first time
Yeah.
I was, right? I wasn't quite, I was 16 plus, going on 17, I was 17 the same year. And the next year, I came up with, you must know that one. The first time I met with Rose was at the dance at the Green Lantern. Since then I don't have a peace with she. She always calling me at me home. She more than she father here. Spencer is the road match king of the year. So they're trying their best to trap me by giving me kakoti. So tell you mama and tell you papa, I Spencer want married to you.
Yes.
Girl, I really love you, but I don't like comments. So guess bagay saucier pake woke people. And I tell you that hit the road.
Yes,
and
that
it was for the
shivers.
road and thing. But that there, Point Michelle girls beat that.
Yeah.
And, right, because
You made Point Michelle girls.
I didn't make Point Dennis
Was
Joseph,
Bingo-
but
Bingo
I was
Joseph.
involved in when
Bingo sang
because
it.
Bingo sang it. But I was involved in Point Michelle because it came out from a party we went to Point Michelle. And things like that. And well, it's the dance, you can't wait. And they come on this, and when we go back on the driving, fella said, boy, didn't you say that? You know, boy, that kind of dance on the thing and thing that. And that's when they think, Point Michelle girls got it. That's when it arrived.
Go ahead with it, man. Bingo not there now, so we can go with it.
Nobody sang that several times. I was
No, we're
involved
doing it
in
now, live on the show,
We
man.
got it like
We are live in on Facebook.
Okay.
Lord Bingo.
Yeah. Lord Bingo, come and see my mama. Me father, me sister, tell her you coming to take me on an outing. But girl, you know quite well about the girls from Point Michelle. So tell your mama go to hell. You're not from Point Michelle.
Let me know that one.
Point Michelle girls have the peace. The sweet, sweet. Give me Point Michelle girls all the time.
If you see her, I mean see her.
You will see why I love her. She living close to the cemetery on the road to Sibuli. Her eyes so nice and bright, her skin so soft and light. She must be mine for the rest of my life. She must be my wife.
I tell you.
But okay, but let me tell you, I was, like I said, I was involved in Gaylord.
Yeah.
From the time I got the road march, then he's approached me
Yeah.
to
Draft
join,
you,
draft me
you.
in,
Yeah.
you know. So, but then Gaylord used to have a lot of shows, and I didn't perform compete so many times, but I was on the stage, you know, on quite often. Every week we had something at Fort Young, every Wednesday night, and then they used to have something at the Carib that was organized.
Carib Cinema.
Cinema. So we used to have shows. You have
So
a talent
most
show.
of the competition would take place either at the Carib, and I know later on it would take place at the Arawa.
Yeah, but it used to be at the competition. It used to be at the gardens as well.
At the gardens.
Where they at the back of the grammar school technical wing.
the
there.
technical
That's where
wing,
they
yeah.
used to, you know, we used to think. So I mean, I sing there. I just sing with Gaylord. I had to have the uniform, Gaylord chicken and everything.
Yes.
And we even had a thing from Gaylord's, the gay groovies. So I was a permanent member of the group.
Gaylords.
Yeah. So Raleigh,
have
John
been-
Lewis, you know John Lewis, the John Jay's bookstore.
Jay's Bookstores
Yeah.
Edition.
Yeah, we played as gay groovies in the same Gaylords there, right? John and a guy, Raleigh Libla, he died. You know, he got shot on, an accident. He died. He was living there. We used to sing as gay. I used to play the bass guitar. You understand? And we sang, and I used to sing in the thing. So we used to sing that as a subsidiary of the Gaylords thing.
Yes.
You understand?
So you were like at the intermission band or something?
Yeah, well,
Like
kind
a-
of, yeah. But we not well. We had our
Oh, you
we
could
had a
decide.
number of songs playing, you know, and so on. We used to do the thing like that. So we used to be involved. All were Gaylords when we was practice. When Baker got the accident and he was in hospital, I was the one that had to take his place in the Gaylords group, you know.
Yes,
This
yes.
is the thing that and when
But he did perform with the
he came with his
Like that,
I was
that
there. I was on stage at that time
Yes,
too.
yes,
on the
yes.
thing when he sang.
Robin,
So I was-
you would have several hit songs which hit the road. But my favorite was always my good friend Susie. And that was my good friend. No, and then you had one about Behind Goodwill School.
Goodwill
Takes me
School,
back.
yeah.
Behind Goodwill
that's the
School.
song that
Tell us about the songs, man, Robin, man.
That's the song that haunted me. up
Which
to now.
one? You know, it continued to haunt you.
Since 1976, I think.
1976.
Everybody is
Tell us about this one, Robin, and give us a
Well,
little verse and chorus or
A
two.
little thing about that is that I was going to technical college
Okay.
and I had to compete. I had one song. Now that song I had, it was We Want to Change. That's a more political thing. So anyhow, I tally fit, I royal fit, and you know when you hit exams, you're under pressure.
Yeah.
So I usually go and bring Underpower. You can enjoy Underpower. You jump the wall by the Astafan.
For those who don't know, Underpower is just at the back of the UE. So Slim, you lady. Underpower is just at the back, the little river, the little section of the river just at the back of UE.
So I should jump the wall to take my bath because that's where I should be. And then in passing, I see the bamboo house. I say, shit, strike me. I say, well, that's where this.
Bamboo House in Gans.
Yes. I see, that's what we're going to do there. You know what? So it strike me. I say, all right.
People used to make dates. That was a regular
Dates
spot
and
for
regular
dates, you
spot
know.
for
You
dates.
know, you know about that, Slim?
No.
That was a spot, man. If you have to meet a young friend, we did not cell phone, you know, at the time. It's letter, and you put a little perfume on the letter. So when you go read the letter and you smell the perfume, that would maybe, you know what I'm coming from. And it's every weekend you might see the girl, every month end when the girl come down on the truck. As long as you see a girl, you know, you have to come by the bus stop.
Listen.
You can remember one situation you write girl's name on cactus.
Well, of course.
Well, let me tell
Slim
you-
wouldn't know
let me
about
tell
that.
you
Huh?
about Robin. He saw. That's when he noticed the thing, but he was accustomed to going to Goodwill School because I checked him. That's why I'm going there.
I
already.
will-
You were no, but see, these spots, for those who may not know, these spots were normal spots.
Let me finish my
Finish the story. Finish your own story, Robin. So finish your own story.
So it struck me. I say, it hit me. So I say, all right, I'll sing a song about the bamboo house. But I say, but no man, Robin, they have other spots, man. They have the library. You have people's park, you know. So I just combine everything. End it and put it. But Mr. Say, I don't know.
Give us a verse and a chorus in that.
I combine everything.
And all the spots, the popular
All the
spots,
popular spots.
that people would hang out and meet their friends.
Mark you all at the speaker, or Calypso Pico.
Yes,
So he was there in Goodwill
yes.
School too.
Of
I mean,
course.
library too. I saw him
You saw him at library.
going in there.
Going in the library.
Yeah.
Not during library time.
Exactly.
So let me give us a couple of verses that is one of my favorite all-time, man.
It was last year carnival, I had an experience, pal. While jumping up in the band, I hug up a young woman. We jumped from morning till night. She was responding alright. But when I bring she in a spot, the young girl start to get hot. Take me back to me mama. Take me back to me papa. Take me back. Boy, there to that. What can I seen you on? I ain't going in no station.
Give me the Goodwill School verse now. Goodwill School verse.
You go to school?
Goodwill School verse.
The last verse.
Give me the school verse.
I decide to live alone and drop her at home. The Lord alone know how I feel, dropping her right goodwill. But while we walking slowly, I notice she watching me. Then she grab onto me hand and she made me to understand. Don't take me back to me mama. Don't take me back to me papa.
That one is don't take me back.
Don't take me back just like that. It's a joke that I crack. Robin, don't be a fool. Let me go
Behind Goodwill School. Man, how well this one did.
Well, it was a road match.
You got the road match with this one. That was what year, Robin?
1976.
1976.
And up to now, all I pass it. That's some everyone.
Man, this was a bomb, man. Little boy growing up, I tell you.
Those road matches doesn't cannot die.
It's not like now, you know, Slim. Steel pan, and you have to walk behind the steel pan and push something. You have to push the steel pan, you know. You know, it's true, you have to push it. This special and Nasto cards, and you're enjoying a little chip here. Nothing to heavy chip. And it was ringing stars on the Tuesday afternoon. What about my good friend Susie? I would like my good friend Susie too.
We need to get you guys back in the studio.
Yes. No, this is real thing. No, this is for real. This is
No,
for
well,
real.
some of these
No,
things
but yes,
I want to document.
No, but just before we go to
I have
Rocco,
part of it already.
just before we go to Rocco, we need a little my good friend Susie.
My good friend Susie Just come and see me. Every month she come in and spend a few days with me. I just feel so happy, especially if I play with Charlie. I just be waiting patiently till I see my Susie.
You know what is Susie?
He knew wrote there, but
Susie is menstrual cycle. And this man, yes!
yeah,
Give it to him again! Give him a
but
bus
let me tell you,
again!
but before all the men say, I see my Susie, you know.
Yeah.
You understand? Let's give him one more verse again, get the gist of it. Now we know. Let's give him one more verse again.
My good friend Susie, just come and see me. Every month she come in and spend a few days with me. I just feel so happy, especially if I play with Charlie. I just be waiting patiently till I see my Susie.
Man, this is fantastic stuff.
You ever heard calypsos before? They were double meaning.
Yes,
And
yes,
they
yes,
had the
yes,
crowd.
yes.
But right now, I find calypsos now, they're too straight.
Straight man, we'll get into the difference
yeah,
that stuff. But you wanted to say something.
Last week, I think you had Tim Durant,
Yes.
Pat, and Jackson.
Yes.
Now, a very interesting point came up, but I would like to hear the detail because this masking, which Robin just mentioned, looking at Susie and these things, I think there needs some explanation because Jackson was saying if he had two good fellas in the competition, if they had a tie,
Yeah, I heard him, yeah.
he would be able to, he would try to look at the person with the better with
Mask.
the mask. But the thing is, the public has to know what masking is. Because masking, you have to construct the calypso. It has to be constructed. I mean, you take Farmer Brown, that's one of the most classical I've heard. You know, Farmer Brown and the jacket going home one day, the farmer in front, the jacket behind, down the road they gone. The farmer run into trouble, the jackass run into trouble, and what had luck for Farmer Brown? Up came a car 150 an hour and knock his ass down. You see, that's the beauty
Yes,
of the man.
yes,
Who
yes.
gets knocked down?
Yes.
Was it the ass of the farmer?
I understand that coming from.
Well, you see, you have,
That's the beauty of
and
Kaiser.
this is when you, for instance, I notice you always say the art form.
Yes.
That is what making it artistic.
Yes.
You see,
Because you have to be able to construct the calypso.
you see that the ingredients.
Because the other thing is you either construct or you come straight. Because you take cricket, there's a man from Australia, Shane Warne. Shane used to bowl all kind of things and have batsmen in trouble. But you need to have the mask and you need to have the straight calypso. But you see, this is where I think really, this program I think is not enough to really.
I know. We'll expand on it. We'll expand on it.
What's really lacking to this calypso is the double meaning and the punchline. The lack punchline. You go to a show and you wait for the calypso man to finish and then you throw something on your man and called raw in. That we don't have that again.
But you see, this is where I've been talking about workshops for years. This is where we have to get our young people into writing. People like our commercial sector, our banks. Not long ago you had an essay competition.
Yes.
These are the things which will create the writers. You have these open competitions, anybody come, and we have now a reserve army of retired teachers. We can get them involved in the process and to see how we advance this thing. So to turn out, and because the music's supposed to be an industry. Today in our time when we sang, you had to come up, you had to create your melody. You write in your song, you created melody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's not so.
Yeah.
I can write a song and then pass it to Bob.
Yeah.
He put the music, or he put something else, somebody, and well, it's almost like the old Adam Smith theory that specialization of skills.
But think to Spark, Patrick Jones is right for Spark, but Spark was a saxophonist. So it's just transformed into music.
Right, yeah. So, and that element of music, this is where we need the training process to continue. Because the government itself, that's where they have to come and play a part. Because we had this young lady from Granby had a music school. Let us see how we give these people incentives to get their things going, to get the children trained. Because you have people who will want to be musicians as a profession. But we got to train them from below. Because when I came into Calypso, I was about 17.
About that time.
When I hit the
big stage.
the big stage with all these other people, I was about 17.
Yes, Spencer, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was
but you
saying
yourself
the
have
things-
been involved in this thing, writing for the Junior Monarch.
every aspect of
dominated
Calypso. Every
you were
aspect
part
of
of the
Calypso.
administration also.
Yeah, every aspect of Calypso I've been involved in. I was just saying something, what he was saying, the things that he was talking about. I call it the ingredients of Calypso, which is lacking a lot. You know, so for instance, somebody, you have to come out and plain and say something. You can put your thing in a way and people understand. You understand?
Mask it, man.
The masking is very important. The humor in Calypso has, we have lost the humor. People go there so serious, but you can come with something serious, but you can make it. You see, like the Jackass thing.
Yeah.
You can make it like who's that? Who was singing about? Is it Chuck? That's one of them was singing about one of the ministers of Trinidad.
Yes.
He say in time to come.
Oh, that is crazy.
In time to come,
Oh,
who will
yeah.
think Spain will stop drinking rum? Something like that. And that's why we'll have a black baby or something like that. I think that is a mind of
America will have a black president.
president, and no, those things, a lot of things the Calypsonians sing come true. Yes. I witnessed that. You understand? So, but I sang a lot of them. And when talking about Spark, I had done, even when I was competing with him, I was going to school, I helped him with his songs from the system. Dominican woman has traveled through the islands and to tell you as man, I myself cannot understand how this island got so much pretty woman. I was doing this thing, right? And things like that with guys and compete with them. We had this
That was a difference.
and I'll tell you another time, there was camaraderie.
Yes.
Right? Later on it become a war like people think. When these guys, I tell you, when I sang, the first year I sang on Saint and said, I got licks on all are trembling, Saint came the night and Saint have his book, his lyrics. And I tell me, wait by the thing there. So every time he come in close by, I'm to tell him to read the first 2 lines. I compete in it.
Yes.
Serious?
Yes.
I have to tell him the first line, of the
serious?
first. You understand? And let me tell you something. I competed once, and Saint met me. Saint met me, and tell me, but they rob you. He tell me they rob you. He tell me they what Fort Young and they playing. They had the thing on TV on the stage, and Sparrow was there, and Sparrow said this man should have won the king. He tell me that they rob you. And the thing about judges have been a long time. I sang a song about judges,
Everyone.
Year after year is this. That's a Calypso of mine. I even sing, year after year is the same thing. They robbing the true Calypso king. Yet they criticizing Calypso and say that the standard way below. How the hell they expect we to progress when they choose a song that cannot pass the test? Well, they're bound to lose because the judges and them have me all confused. Because they're talking about the lyrics, but they don't listen to this. Presentation and stage personality. This they ignore quite openly. Crowd response carry little. What is that what could get us in trouble? They deserve a lash if we so give the crown to the mighty Flash. Flash was a character, you know him? And in the second verse, I say, they're making a mess. You could have take it and give it to DBS.
Yeah, you remember Flash was really flamboyant on stage.
But yeah,
we were from Baytown.
Yeah, he was singing some nonsense and then jumped
Yes,
in.
yes.
And then there was a lot of characters, man. Flash, there was what's the guy named?
Vigo.
Not even
What was Vigo's
his name?
Vigo's Calypso name? Ugly. The ugly.
There was Cockroach. There was Cockroach. Cockroach.
Yes,
There are a lot of characters. You understand?
Yeah.
Flash was singing, and when these guys on stage, they don't want to come out. So Pee Wee, you remember Pee? You remember Pee Wee?
The mayor. He was the mayor.
See, we had ice cream. The
Yes,
ice
yes.
cream.
Oh, well, I think you eventually won. That's Gonzalez. He eventually
Gonzalez,
was in
yeah.
the,
Orlando
he was
Gonzalez
involved-
Peltier.
He was involved in the organizing, and
yeah.
he used to be MC. So once Flash singing, and then he go and take the mic. Flash the one who lift stage to take the mic. When Flash come out next time, Flash come out with a calypso. Mr. Pee-wee, Mr. Pee-wee, I
pee-pee.
didn't want to pee-pee. when you take the mic from me, and him, Pee-wee, 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 and his chorus giving you Pee-wee, 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 Pee-wee. Boy, it was there.
well, Rocco also, I know you did quite a bit of work, on the Calypso art form. Bring us up to date.
Well, generally, I'm looking at this thing. How do we get Calypso as something which could generate income? And that is why I think the Calypso Association. The problem I have with them is I feel every year after Carnival, they retreat.
Yeah.
They go into retreat for the whole year. But I think this is all like around now, we're running into summertime. That's a good time to get workshops going.
Yeah.
I remember when Jackson was the president for a while, he tried a couple workshops, and they were very useful because you see, the people you want to judge have to be exposed to some kind of training. I mean, some years ago, I heard this lady said she never judged Calypso, but she came to judge the finals. Somebody invited her.
Yeah, I'm a lot of those things.
And she was in the finals as a judge. I mean, this to me is Papi show.
But part of our institution was us coordinating judges. I came through the strings already. There was a woman, I won't call her name, that gave a culture 7. So in compiling this course, you're asking about why. I just feel like this to you.
You just feel like you've been to
What she was there, she never judged again.
Well, you yourself will have judged a lot too, Camcast.
I started judging in '84. I must be the longest serving judge in Dominica. And the only time I haven't judged is when I go out because I went out to study a couple times, I come back. I came back from Saudi in '84, and the first show I judged was the by local. And it's those guys like Pat Aaron and those guys, they knew me, so they asked me to, this, right? We come to judge. So I judged the OECS show. I judged in Montserrat as well. I worked in Montserrat for what? So I judged. I wrote for guys in the competition. I wrote for the police competition. They're having a police day. And they did well. And my grandson was in there, in the junior monarch. I wrote for him and he won. And I wrote for some junior monarch, and all of them got best of this thing.
You had a prolific junior monarch. What's his name again? I think he went to the big league recently.
Today? Oh, the Irish kid?
Irish kid, yeah.
Yeah.
He was also
He won, well, from the time I came back and I took him on, he won everything there. So he broke the record in the thing there.
Yeah.
My son won twice. He won the compete twice. He was going to
What was his
SMA.
Calypso name?
Well, he and Bob were in the same class too.
What would
This
you-
is a row.
This is a rule. Okay.
And he won at SMA. He won
So you beat Bob at SME.
Bob was
Bob was in rough and ready.
But
Bob was in rough and ready.
Rough and ready, yeah. He won. He sang twice and he won both times. You understand? And I mean, it's not that I was a judge. I was organizing. I was Lions Club, and I was the one organizing the Junior Monarch show. You understand? Organizing, but I wasn't.
But in your discussion, just before we leave, because we have to close by 12 for the news.
Wow.
We will come back again. I must show you.
Come back with
You mentioned that there should be a roving tent.
Yeah.
Tell us about the roving tent.
Well, to Robin tent, and I started the Stardom Calypso tent.
You started the
We
Stardom
started
tent?
it.
Yeah.
I was part of it.
Wow. Tell
I
us about
started it was Lack, who is Clavis Regis, he was a
Mighty
dispatcher,
Lack.
and me. And went to Norman and we discussed about the thing, yeah? And organized the junior, the Stardom Calypso tent. After that was getting so big, I had to organize a roving Calypso tent, Chris Serafil and I,
Part of it, yeah.
all right? And then
So
we
you departed from the Stardom and you did...
I never departed from it, but I was
you
trying
were
to. I was trying. There are a lot of guys from the country, and for that, but the roving we were going to different parts. Cornel B, the first woman calypso.
Yes,
I'm the
yes,
one
yes.
who take her from Portsmouth,
Portsmouth.
and Miko. I brought them
Miko,
here into
yeah.
the thing there and put them in the competition here. Cornel B came 64. 74. I wrote for. She came fourth. And her song, they even have a song record on the road and da 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 da. You just still band
yeah, man, I can remember
74,
what
I'll
that is,
be on the road.
Yes.
I don't want no broken road. Lord, I'm all alone, I must be free. Fat.
And she was the first woman in the...
First woman calypso coming in Dominican,
Yes.
come in the finals and came fourth.
Yes. I remember those days.
She died just recently. Alex Bruno write something because he came to interview me some time ago.
But guys, just before we leave, today, how can we get this thing documented? We need to... Bob, the association we need to combine somehow because you guys are alive.
And another thing before you close.
Uh-huh.
Do you know that during competition, Calypso is to back up Calypso, yeah?
You serious?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, to come back. If you
Yeah,
come
Another important
Yeah.
thing. I am the one who broke off, Chris River and I, who broke off from the carnival organizing committee. Because when we went to this Chris River and I, we formed an association first. Robin was there, Solo and all those guys there. I was president, secretary, everything. And I was
Of the
younger.
first association.
Yeah.
we used to meet in the gardens.
And I go to
So
them
that is before the official
before
association.
before
the
this
official.
one started. I organized the association. I break away. We organized the association. When Solo had to go to Antigua to compete for the thing, I don't want to write. I was president, but I had to write a secretary. I said to ask permission to give him time off to go to compete in the OECD.
But what was the purse like during those days, those early days?
I
How
won
much
the
would
road match.
a monarch get normally?
It
And
was-
let's say someone in the finals.
It was nothing, next to nothing. All I can tell you is that
I got $300.
$500 for road match.
that is later. But when during the time I was saying, I was road match king and runner, and I got $40 and a flask for my prize. And a flask, an ice flask, a small ice flask like that. I still have it. It's a souvenir, yeah.
You can go by Bridgewater, they give you some sliders and
No, listen, let me tell you. So, for this family, you all don't know. Maybe because of guys today, and they do not know the kind of effort I put in that Calypso thing. I went to Chris Serafin, because my back, he was in the tent with me, organized the roving tent with me. We went to the carnival organizing committee, JCs, and tell them, look, you have to improve the price of the Calypso. You understand? Not Calypso. And, they're not making money and things like that. I say, Queen going all around the place. Queen getting trips and this and that. We're not getting anything. They say that, they're not making any money. So we tell them, we get them out and we break away and we organize the Calypso community. At that time, a young guy and not like busy running up and down the place. We decided to organize our own Calypso competition. And we set up a thing. We said that they will come and they will.
So who would back up then? When you did that, who backed up?
Well, the Calypsonians used to
Calypsonians
back up themselves. They used to
back up
back up.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
No, but the bands, we had the bands. So we said that the judges will come to the tents and select people. So they welcome to the roving tent and they select people. They go to the stardom tent and select people. That's how we organize it. That's what they do in Trinidad,
Oh.
So that's what we did. I was trying to model in Trinidad. By that time, we had the thing at Arawak. The one up there.
That's Carib up there and Arawak up by
No, the one up there. The one Arawak, the one up there. That's where we had the competition. He was involved in there, yeah? Solo. Caterer was in Barbados and he called me. He wasn't in finals. We had finals. They called me and tell me, but he wanted to come down and blah, blah, blah. I tell him, no problem. I tell him, well, let's fit in Caterer.
No, so they didn't want to come in.
Yeah. No, fellas didn't want him. Fellas were bragging. But I said, let us accommodate him.
But last just before we go, I remember the finals used to be on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Because I remember when Solo sang Mass in the Cemetery, I can swear, right after that, people went on the road.
Yeah.
Am I right, Robin?
Yes.
And the Arawak
Sunday.
Simbot, he sang Simbot.
Yes.
And then Mass in the Cemetery, and immediately after the Calypso show, people went on
I
the
think it
road.
was anything.
But guys, we're going to do it again, and time has just run out on us. And I'm happy this has been documented because so much I have learned today is like, man,
One thing I forgot.
Calypso school.
I won the Calypso King in Mona, Jamaica.
You won the Calypso Monarch in Mona.
In Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah, the Mona campus.
Yeah, Mona campus.
You don't believe why.
And I, well.
We will do it
Yes,
again,
okay.
guys. I just want to really thank all those who have been tuned in to the big station. This is Leroy Wadix Charles. Until we meet again some other time, may God bless you and may God bless Dominica. This has been Creole Beat, Heartbeat Magazine.